Hello, Silo citizens. Welcome to the Silo Season 1, Episode 8, Ending Explained. We have so much to discuss from this explosive, jam-packed episode, from finally getting the answer to what actually happened to Juliette's mother, to who secretly runs the silo, to that jaw-dropping cliffhanger in the last few seconds of the ending. Stay tuned, subscribe to join the club, and fair warning, spoilers ahead. Let's dive in. This week's episode explores one of the season's biggest mysteries that has been lingering in the back of our minds. What really happened to Juliette's mother, Hanna Nichols? Through flashbacks, we are treated to the pivotal moments that led to Hanna taking her own life and the events that shaped Juliette's insatiable quest for the truth. We open on Hanna and a young Juliette bartering stolen pills from medical for a dying rabbit, which perplexes Juliette at first, until Hanna reveals her true motive. She intends to use her illegal magnification invention to perform life-saving surgery on its heart. You see, the rabbit suffers from a tear in its heart, which parallels Juliette's brother's medical condition that he passed away from earlier in the season. It becomes clear that upon Jacob's passing, this invention and the possibility of helping others avoid the same fate becomes Hanna's life purpose. I thought the symbolism in this scene was ingenious. Typically, magnifying glasses are used to represent learning, growth, and knowledge, while rabbits are symbolic of new beginnings, fertility, and hope. With advancements in technology, such as Hanna's magnification device, the Silo citizens could potentially enter a new era of health and prosperity, as we see with the newly healed rabbit. However, later in the episode, Hanna's dreams of a better life for the people of the Silo are quickly dashed when Judicial catches wind of her illegal invention. They raid Juliette's home in search of the device, which Hanna begrudgingly reveals to them, and they destroy her invention in front of Juliette. It infuriated me seeing the Judicial's overreach of power in this scene, and I believe this became a core memory that solidified Juliette's disdain towards abuse of authority within the Silo. This shatters Hanna's hopes and fragments the Nichols family, as she and Juliette blame Dr. Nichols for exposing them to Judicial. Without an outlet for her grief, not being able to trust her partner anymore, and having her ability to help those similar to her son be taken away for good, Hanna decides to end her life. We get a heartbreaking scene of Juliette and Dr. Nichols attending her funeral, which no one else in the Silo bothers to show up to given the circumstances of her death. This was the nail in the coffin for Dr. Nichols and Juliette's relationship and causes a lifelong wedge between the two of them. Having been destroyed by her mother's passing, Juliette releases the rabbit into the farm, symbolizing her giving up hope for a better life at a young age. Years later, Juliette once again finds herself at odds with the injustice of the Silo's authoritative system, but the question on her mind and everyone else's is, who actually rules the Silo? Well, Juliette seems to believe it is Sims, as he is the one actively using the power of the Judicial to track down the hard drive that she found in the previous episode. He goes as far as to make a deal with Gloria, who helped him and his wife when they were starting a family while she worked as the fertility specialist, by promising her safety in exchange for information on what Juliette has. Similar to her past, the Judicial abuses their power by raiding the sheriff's office, except this time Billings steps in to inform her that this is actually illegal without probable cause. Let's digest this moment for a second, because if Juliette didn't know the law or her rights, Sims could have done this without repercussions. I guess the moral of the story is know your rights, people. Given that they skipped about 10 steps in properly obtaining the right to search their office, Juliette uses her power as the sheriff to arrest Sims for his abuse of power. This buys Juliette some time to figure out what is on the hard drive, but before she does that, she tries to find evidence of Sims's corruption. It is in this scene we get the reveal of Sims's secret hiding place for all of his files on potential flamekeepers, including her mother, giving Juliette some proof of his involvement in something nefarious. However, she knows that the answer she is really looking for is on the hard drive, but of course, things are never that easy and she is unable to access it. As she travels to Martha, the one person who she believes could help her, Juliette sees security checkpoints have now been implemented. But if Sims is behind bars and is unable to make calls from his cell, who ordered this new protocol? Because as Juliette surmises, it wouldn't have been Judge Meadows, as she has no personal interest in the hard drive itself. This is where we start to see hints that Sims is not working alone. Juliette turns to Lukas, who reveals the answer to her problems. She must connect the hard drive to approved systems, such as the mayor's or sheriff's office computers, in order to access its contents. This backs Juliette in a corner, as she knows she can't pursue either of those options, so she attempts to bypass security using her power as sheriff to get to Martha's home. Things go south quickly, but Bernard comes to the rescue just in time and demands that they both be let through. This leads to one of the most shocking moments of the series, as we get a massive reveal before the finale. As Juliette begins to disclose Sims' involvement in secretly running the Silo, Bernard lets it slip that he knows Juliette has the hard drive, which immediately pulls the veil back to reveal he is the true secret ruler of the Silo. I have to say, I had my suspicions about Bernard throughout the season, as I always thought it was strange how he made such an accurate guess about Mayor Ruth and Deputy Mances' relationship, but in the last few episodes he seemed to be somewhat trustworthy. This reveal was pretty satisfying, and it left me absolutely terrified about the implications of what this means for Juliette's journey moving forward. As Juliette attempts to make a run for it, she is caught by the raiders and taken into custody by Billings. Bernard and Sims falsify claims that Juliette requested to leave the silo in order to clean, which would result in her passing within mere minutes of exiting. I thought this next part was particularly bone-chilling because it cements the total and absolute control that Bernard and Sims have over the silo. Juliette pleads with Billings about the lies Bernard and Sims are perpetuating and that she does not, in fact, want to leave the silo to clean. Billings reassures her that she can file an appeal and that she would be guaranteed a hearing. However, the case would be sent immediately to judicial to decide her fate. So, regardless of what the truth is, Sims can exert his will upon any citizen in the silo, and even the former sheriff can't escape whatever fate he decides. I was absolutely gutted upon this realization because it is clear that the very systems used to protect the citizens are the same ones that can be abused by the people in power. Seeing no other option, Juliette shoves Billings off of her when his syndrome begins acting up, grabs her satchel with the hard drive, and leaps off of the side of the staircase, ending the episode on a massive cliffhanger. Let me know what you all thought about this moment in the comments. Stick around to the end of this video to hear more about my thoughts and theories for the next episode. But before we get into that, let's talk about some other lingering questions from this episode, such as, can we trust Billings now that Juliette is no longer sheriff? I would say that he's probably underestimated by the judicial, as they must surely know about his condition given the surveillance cameras in every apartment, and they probably see him as nothing but a pawn in their game. However, we've seen instances throughout this episode and earlier in the season that he has a strong sense of justice and is more willing to do what is right over what is expected from him. I think even in his new position as sheriff, he wouldn't blindly do the bidding of Bernard and Sims, especially after seeing some of the corruption of the system. As for Lukas, I believe his scenes are going to be essential in spreading the message that the citizens of the silo are being spied on by the judicial and Bernard. Although he is initially hesitant to help Juliette at the risk of losing his mother, given that he is her only caretaker, he does seem to care deeply about Juliette and uncovering the truth about what is beyond the silo. My assumption would be that once Juliette is painted as a criminal, he will play some sort of a role in exposing the truth about the sensors behind the mirrors, as he has seen with his own eyes what Juliette revealed to him. Overall, this was one of the best episodes of the season in my opinion. There was so much heart and shocking reveals that I couldn't believe an hour had gone by so quickly as I was watching it. My theory going into next week is that Juliette falls down onto one of the bridges connecting the staircase to the main living areas, and that she will most likely sustain some sort of an injury that will make her escape difficult. I believe the next episode could be a cat and mouse type of hunt, as Juliette finds a way to get down to the lower levels to Martha without getting caught, and she may finally access the contents of the hard drive. I also think this episode laid a lot of groundwork for several citizens within the silo to feel bold enough to question those in power. We see instances of this, such as Dr. Nichols believing in the absolute authority of the silo, only for it to cost him his family. So what was the point in believing in the pact and adhering to its rules? Lukas has had the wool pulled from his eyes, so to speak, and he has seen the deception the judicial are capable of. And Martha, as well as bystanders, have seen the abuse of power and are fed up with the toll it is taking on the people they love. Juliette has become a symbol of rebellion, whether or not she is ready to embrace that. And if anything happens to her, I can see this inspiring people to finally take action. I mean, there is power in numbers. That's all for episode 8 of Silo. Let me know your thoughts and theories below. Don't forget to subscribe and join the club. Thanks for watching.